He smashed the ground pretty hard, and that was one of the worst experience. I stopped my car, I opened the door, and I listened. Boom.
Hello everyone, I hope you're well and I think you're going to really like this interview. Augusto Bartelle is a professional skydiver and he also posts amazing pictures on his Instagram. I hope you like the interview and if you do so, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I will see you next week. Goodbye. Hello Augusto, how are you?
Oh, good, man. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. For the people who have never heard of you, who is Augusto?
Skydiver. Basically, I'm a skydiver. I started skydiving in Brazil. I'm from Brazil, born and raised in Brazil. And I did 14, 15 jumps in Brazil, and then I moved to Europe and then California.
When did you decide that you wanted to become a professional skydiver?
Like, I have an alcohol problem. And I found out that with 23 years old, and I quit drinking for the first time at 23. And I spent 2 years, but I didn't change anything in my life. Like, I didn't change any habits, any people, nothing. I was doing the same thing, but without alcohol. And then eventually I was running in a park in Brazil, and I met this guy. He's like, no, man, like a friend of a friend. And he told me, like, I'm a skydiver.
What's the fastest velocity you have ever flown?
So the fastest I could go was 477.30 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
And yeah, that's really
fast.
Last time I checked, it's faster than the fastest car in the world. So there is nothing without an engine that can go as fast as a skydiver doing speed skydiving.
What do you feel when you are going so fast?
Man, it's terrible. Honestly, like it's really fun when it's over, but the adrenaline, it's really high. You know, like the adrenaline, the pressure. Like sometimes my muscles are so stiff because of the pressure of that jump that got really hard to walk after. You know, it got like a muscle kind of problems, like cramps.
Some people, when they jump for the first time, they feel fear and they are like, I don't know if I want to jump. What do you think and what do you feel when you're about to jump?
It's kind of like a meditation thing because it's really hard for us to be 100% in the moment. Like right now, you're probably thinking about like this interview, but you're also probably thinking about something else, you know, because we always do that, right? And when you're skydiving, it's almost impossible that you're falling from in the air, like for 4 kilometers from the earth, or 15,000 feet or 14,000 feet, and you're not going to be thinking about anything else. You're thinking about that only. So you're 100% in one moment. Yeah.
Have you ever had any really scary experiences where you have had to open the emergency parachute or where you started rolling maybe?
I was jumping with a friend of mine, and we briefed that we're going to exit and head down. So we exit head up and turn head down and hold the position as much as we can. Depending on the air, it makes you move. So basically, we're falling straight. I lost the position, and I started following him, and we started moving this way. When he lost the position, it was kind of like he lost the position. He fully braked that speed, that sideways speed, but I didn't know that, and I keep moving. So we passed. This was the worst experience ever in my life. We passed at 200 kilometers per hour against each other, like really, really close. The only thing we could do was like doing this. That's not the right thing. It's automatic.
Yeah.
We landed. We didn't reach each other, hit each other. But when we landed, we looked at each other, we hugged each other, said, dude, thanks God, man. So that was the worst thing that ever happened with me.
Have you ever met someone who has had a severe accident?
It's really hard to happen, that kind of things, but it happens with him. So he did the emergency procedure wrong. So basically he came down and fall on the ground. with half of his parachute open. So
What happens there?
So he had a problem. He started spinning in the sky, but so that when you open your parachute and your body is spinning, imagine that the bridle and the lines are coming out, and everything is spinning. So you have line twists, right? So this is the kind of a malfunction, the simplest one to solve, unless you have too many or not much altitude to handle the problem, right? So what he did, he chopped the main parachute, but when you chop, you really need to put all your arm forward because there are cables inside of your gear. So you need to really pull the cables out and clean if your arms are not long enough. So he pulled, but he didn't pull the entire way, just pull a little bit. And part of his parachute came out, the other part didn't came out. It wasn't a new gear. And then he kept falling, but he didn't feel that his main parachute was gone. And probably stress in the moment. At 200 feet from the ground, he pulls his reserve parachute, but the parachute doesn't have time to open. So he smashed the ground pretty hard. And that was one of the worst experiences that I had, because I was arriving at the drop zone. Like I stopped my car, I opened the door, and I listened. Boom! A huge boom. And what's happening? What's happening? People running. And it was really sad. It was a very, very sad day. And you see that the sport's safe, but as anything you do, bad things can happen. So that was like a good reminder, a really good reminder to myself to do the best I can to follow the rules and stay safe. This guy was really, really smart guy. And he wasn't happy. His mother told us that he wasn't a happy person. He was really smart. He was working and studying. But since he started skydiving, our mother was like, Augusto, I'm really happy. I'm sad that he passed away, but I'm really happy because he was a happy person, at least for a few months. And so that, like, I get bumps when I say that. But anyway, so.
Some people have asked me, how does a parachute actually work?
You put in the small bag. That bag you put inside of a backpack. That's called a container. And the material, then you have a bridle. That's the rope. And a really small parachute that calls pilot chute. There's the parachute and the pilot chute. The pilot chute is what you throw in the air.
And
that's
why
small.
Do you throw that one?
To grab air and pull the big parachute outside the bag. Once you have the parachute above your head, you have the controllers that are called toggles, and then you can do turns to the right or to the left or 360. And when you pull both together down, it's called flare. So it's kind of how you do to brake and land your parachute like slowly in safe. In safe.
Yeah, and I think you also have like a second parachute, like an emergency one.
Yeah, once you have a malfunction on the main parachute, we're gonna need to deploy the reserve. So there's a sequence that you need to follow. So you release the parachute, the main parachute, and then you open the reserve.
What would you tell to the parents who say it's too dangerous, it's too scary?
Well, it really is. It's dangerous, it's scary. When you jump for the first time, when I jumped for the first time, I remember that the biggest thing I remember is the wind. It's so strong when you put your hand out of the airplane that you just think like, oh my God, this is going so slow, because you don't see the speed. The things you can get back from it, like the lifestyle, the things you learn, like working under pressure, persistence, you become a better human, like you trying things that you've never done before.
So I think that's all the interview for now. Thank you very much, Augusto. Do
Thank
you
you,
want to
Alvaro.
tell something to the people who watch this?
So basically, if you have any question about skydiving, you can find me on Instagram. I answer all the people that send me messages, everyone, no exceptions, unless it's advertising, then I just delete. But I read and I answer everyone. I also have the blog that I mentioned before. You can go www.augustobartelle.com, and then you can, it that has a lot of stuff, including like how a parachute works and like how to become a skydiver, the best drop zones to skydive in Europe, the best drop zones to skydive in the United States. So it's Australia. I did a post about drop zones in Australia too. So you can find a lot of stuff over there. And every Thursday I post a new article, and I have interviews too with people that do some like different things in the sky. And the next one that I'm gonna post, it's a girl that she do paintings in the sky during the skydive.
Right.
So it's fantastic. It's like it's really nice. So if you're interested, just go there. And if you want to try the colorful jerseys, it's colorfuljerseys.com.
I will put the links in the description so they can go and watch it. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Augusto. Thank you for the
Thank you.
interview.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.